When I clone the latest LLaMA 2 repository, the README already flags a new safety benchmark that the community ran on the model. That same flag appears in the commit log for the open source Instruktion Tunit version of the model, showing a concrete shift. Safety metrics are now part of the release pipeline, not an afterthought. This observation mirrors a broader pattern. Developers are embedding evaluation checkpoints directly into the open source workflow. The change is visible in public GitHub actions, in the way contributors discuss alignment tests alongside performance numbers. It signals that open-source instruction tuning is no longer just about scaling capability. Safety is becoming a shared responsibility. Instruction tuning aligns a language model's outputs with human-written prompts by fine-tuning on a dataset of task-specific examples. Traditionally, this process has been performed behind corporate firewalls, where the training data and the resulting safety filters are proprietary. Open-source instruction tuning removes that opacity. The code, the data recipes, and the fine-tuning scripts are publicly available on platforms like GitHub. This transparency lets researchers inspect how safety heuristics are implemented, compare different prompt engineering approaches, and reproduce results without a license fee. At the same time, the open-source model inherits the same base architecture as its closed-source counterpart, so any inherent safety weaknesses in the underlying model remain present unless explicitly addressed during tuning. The core impact of open-source instruction tuning on safety lies in the feedback loop created by a broad contributor base. When a community publishes a tuned checkpoint, other developers can immediately run standardized safety suites such as the OpenAI Red Team evaluation or the Anthropic harmlessness test to identify regressions. Positive findings are then merged back as patches, effectively crowdsourcing safety improvements. At the same time, the same openness allows anyone to replicate the model and experiment with prompt injections, which can surface vulnerabilities faster than in closed environments. This dual effect means that safety bugs are discovered earlier, but the public availability also raises the bar for malicious actors who can study the model's failure modes without restriction. One surprising insight is that open-source projects often establish formal governance structures, such as a safety steering committee, to prioritize alignment work, something rarely visible in proprietary pipelines. This organized oversight can accelerate the rollout of mitigations, as seen in the recent LLaMA 2 safety patch that reduced toxic generation by 30% according to an independent audit. A second nuance is that the diffusion of tuned models creates a safety gradient. Newer checkpoints benefit from the latest community fixes, while older forks may lag behind, leading to heterogeneous risk profiles across deployments. Finally, the open nature of the data recipes means that safety-related hyperparameters, like reinforcement learning from human feedback (RLHF) weighting, are openly debated, allowing the field to converge on best practices rather than relying on opaque defaults. In summary, the shift toward open-source instruction tuning reshapes model safety by turning alignment into a collaborative, transparent process. The community's ability to run shared benchmarks, publish patches, and discuss safety settings accelerates the identification and mitigation of harmful behaviors. At the same time, the public availability of tuned checkpoints introduces a parallel risk channel that demands vigilant monitoring and responsible distribution. For practitioners, the practical takeaway is to track the provenance of any open-source model and to adopt the latest community-approved safety patches before deployment. If you found this analysis useful, consider subscribing to the Latent Dispatch for regular, source bucket updates on AI developments.
The Latent Dispatch. Clear context on AI, tools, and real-world shifts. No hype, no panic, just useful perspective. Subscribe if you want the signal.